most multi-ethnic and multicultural Muslim country with freedom of religion for everybody. This country is 44th most populous in the world and one of the 17 mega-diverse countries. This country also holds the best economic record, and it has a GDP growing 6.5 every year since the past 50 years. Yes, we are talking about Malaysia, and today we have brought you here at the High Commission of Malaysia to meet the Excellency and get to know Malaysia better. Before we formally begin, I would like to introduce my co-anchor. This is Mr. Nasser Habib. So we have with us the High Commissioner of Malaysia, Dato Dr. Hasrul Sani Mushtabar. Thank you, Excellency, for your time. So, Excellency, take us to Malaysia. Tell us something that we don't know about or something that we would want to know about Malaysia.
All right. First of all, thank you for having me in your program. I really appreciate for having me this morning and to talk about Malaysia. Malaysia is a country situated in the heart of Southeast Asia. You know, Southeast Asia have about 10 countries. We have 10 countries. And Malaysia lies in the heart of Southeast Asia. And as you correctly pointed out, Malaysia is a multi-racial country, multi-religious, multicultural, and because of that, you often hear in the television advertisement, Malaysia truly Asia, because we have all the great Asian civilization in Malaysia. Now, yes, Islam is the official religion of a population of 30 million, but we have different races, as you know, from Malays, which are predominantly the Muslims, and we have the Chinese, the Indians, the Portuguese, and so on and so forth. So because of the diversity of these races, that makes Malaysia a very unique country according to those tourists who come to Malaysia. You have different kind of foods. You can imagine when you have different type of races. Like during this Ramadan, if you go to any hotel, they serve you from Muslim food, Western food, Portuguese food, and all kind of food. You know, so it's really a country where it has a lot of diversity. In a nutshell, if you wish to study the concept of multicultural and multi-racial country, Malaysia is a good country for you to take as an example. Yeah.
Excellency, how do you make sure religious freedom by having 61% Muslims, 20% Buddhist, and 9% Christian, and then 6% Hindus? Having people, a number of huge number of percentage from different religions, how do you make sure freedom of religion in Malaysia?
Okay, that is a very good question. Because as you know, if you look at many countries around the world, when we have different kind of races, different kind of religion, it can also sometimes contribute to friction and animosity within one another. But in Malaysia, Alhamdulillah, at this stage, we have been living in such a tolerant way, in such a peaceful way, for a long time since we achieved our independence. There are many analysts about this, or analysts who argue why Malaysia can come up with such a tolerant society. Probably one reason is that the historical background, because Malaysia, as I said, is situated in the center of Southeast Asia. So we have old civilization from the Middle East, from this part of the world, who when they of course from the Western also, when they want to go to China during the old days, they pass through that Straits of Malacca, and they brought in their own culture. So we have been accustomed to this kind of different kind of outlooking for a long time. So when we achieve independence, Alhamdulillah, our leaders also take a very pragmatic approach. We believe strongly that all form of radicalism must be eliminated, we cannot afford to have radicalism in our country because of the sensitivity of religion and so on. So we take care. So we always express the hope that each races or each religion do not raise any sensitive issue. And if they do, then the law will take into
But how do you manage it? Through law, through force, through it's tolerance, especially in many of Muslim countries in Pakistan, where the percentage of other religions is huge. It's very difficult to make a society where tolerance is. So how do you make it?
So I think it's a combination of, I said, from the historical context, from the laws, as well as from the education. We stress that very much from the school days, the importance of, we call it muhibbah, I mean the tolerance, the understanding. So we have that ingrained in the school children from the early days. So it is a combination of all these factors.
I would also like to ask, because we have seen that Malaysia is strengthening relations with other Muslim countries. So we have seen that it does not destroy relations with the Muslim countries while making better relations with other countries too. So what would you say about that? Because you are the founding party of OIC, the founding country. So you are taking steps for Muslims. What would you say about that?
Of course, as a member of OIC, we do play an important role in promoting unity and friendship with all the Muslim countries. We believe that we have many things to do among the Muslim countries where we can work together. So, for example, Malaysia takes a lead in the economic sector. This year we are going to host the World Islamic Economic Forum, for example, which is every year we have it either in Malaysia or in one country outside. So we believe that Muslim countries, despite a lot of problems that we have, but we can work together,
Though you initiated OIC and now Economic Forum for Muslim countries, but it's not as successful if you see in specifically OIC. Is it still effective body for Muslim countries?
Well, actually, that is the only body we have, unfortunately, here, OIC. I understand a lot of reservations and a lot of criticism on OIC, but we still feel that at least rather than nothing, we can move forward with OIC. Just like the UN. The UN also cannot resolve every single world issue, including the issue of Kashmir, for example. But without the UN, it will be worse. So likewise among the Muslim countries, even though OIC has a lot of problems, but certainly as a Muslim country, we should all work together, work hard to overcome all these impasse and difficulties.
Excellency, Malaysia got independence 10 years later than Pakistan, but its human index development is huge, it's high, and then its growth rate is huge, much more and better than Pakistan. Would you like to share that secret?
Well, I think the best...
So you are 10 years younger than us.
The basic formula is this, I think. Number one is we have managed to secure peace and security for such a long time. Since we achieved independence, we do not face any, in terms of security, except for a few years under the emergency when at that time the communists were active in that part of the world. After that, once we resolved that, and then everything went very smoothly. Number two, I think there's a clear understanding of the importance of education. So education, we really spend a lot of money. Big percentage of our GDP goes to education. As you know, when we achieved independence from the British in 1957, the level of poverty was very high at that time. More than half of our population are living below poverty. But within few decades, because of the peace condition because of the education level has rise, because of the well-planned 5-year economic continuous, deeds, and then we have also the understanding among all the races, the unity that has helped us in shaping the country as it is today. Yeah.
So, going back to the geographical significance of Malaysia, you share borders with some of very interesting countries like Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand. So, what would you say about the geographical importance of Malaysia?
Yeah, so we are lucky in the sense that because of our central position, we also attracts a lot of people from those countries to stay, to work, and to live in Malaysia. So we welcome those people to help in our economy. If you could see in Malaysia, there are many people from the neighboring countries like Indonesia, from Vietnam, from Philippines. So that also has enriched the economic development of our country, and we appreciate. And we have also people from Pakistan. Pakistan. Somehow or rather, Pakistani love Malaysia. Among the 10 ASEAN countries, Malaysia hosts the most Pakistani.
Yeah, definitely. We will talk a lot about this later part in the show. So, would you like to tell me something about kingdom? So, legacy of British colony rule. Is it a rare case where king is elected for 5 years when I was reading? Can you tell me something about that? Whenever I heard king remains the ruler till his death, but here you elect him for 5 years. What is that?
Okay. The reason is rather simple because we have many provinces or states.
13 states and...
So we have each provinces, some are headed by the king and some by the governor. So those who have the kings, they will take turns to become the big king.
Country, national
yes,
king.
Yes. So now is from the province or the state of Kelantan. So that is one state among the many states that we have. Because of this rotation, we avoid the problem of, division among the royal family. So that is a very unique system that somehow or other they created, so that each have their own share. But after the 5 years, they will go back to their province. Let's say, go back to Punjab.
Their own state or
their own state. They still became the king, but small king we call it. King of that province.
Like provincial king.
Provincial, yes.
Not
yes.
federal king.
Yes, this one, every 5 years is the federal king.
So is it ceremonial position or it's?
It's more of
Who
ceremony.
is chief executive of the country? Then?
I've got the prime minister. Yeah, but for us, like for me to become ambassador, you have to get the letter of credential from the king. So I actually represent the king of my country. Yeah.
One can be king, federal king, who is not even king in the province, right? Or only those can become king who are already king in the provinces?
Oh, in the province. You must be the king of the province.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is your parliamentary system? Like election after 5 years? Would you like to tell
Yes,
something?
we have also every 5 years we have election. We have about the same time with Pakistan. In fact, the last election was in 2013. Your last election?
13.
Yeah.
2013.
Same. But probably within any time from 4 to 5 years they can announce a new election depending on the ruling government. But normally it's every 5 years.
Before we move towards bilateral relationship and between Pakistan and Malaysia, would you like to tell us something about its culture, sports, which food people love there, music or something interesting?
Being a multicultural country, you can imagine there all sort of cultures are there. Those diplomats or ambassadors who are posted to Malaysia, to me, they are very lucky ambassadors. Because there are many holidays and there are many festivities. Like during the Eid, we have a national holiday. During Christmas, we have again national holiday. During the Buddhist Vesak, we have another holiday.
Oh, that's
Hindus,
nice. So you're
so
celebrating all the religions.
Every great religion, they celebrate and they have holidays.
I think the students over there are lucky too.
Yeah. And of course, the food also varies. We have from the indigenous food from the Malays, the Muslim there, and we have the Chinese, Western, Middle East. If you go to Kuala Lumpur,
similarity between the food of Pakistan and Malaysia?
there are certain like your curries, biryani, yeah. But there is a difference. Yeah, you eat biryani every day. But for us, biryani is so special and so expensive. We only reserve for weddings, for engagement.
So like Malaysian people do like spicy
Oh
food.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we
we
do.
like.
That's nice. That's good to
Very
hear.
calm.
What about the festivals, like some Malaysian festivals that are only celebrated?
Okay. Festival, we have like kite festival. You know, the symbol of our Malaysian airline is the kite. So
That's something like Arbasan.
yeah. So every year in the east part of Malaysia, they do have that. You know, and we have also like in Sabah, for example, they celebrate the harvest festival because they believe that if you celebrate the harvest festival, probably God will give you more harvest next year. So they have that kind of
That's a good
yeah.
tradition that they're
So there are many kinds of festival, and it's good that tourists, when they want to come to Malaysia, you look at the dates, which are the big festival in Malaysia. Then you can enjoy both. Yeah.
So whenever we talk about Malaysia, the only picture that comes into our mind is blue water. Yeah, so like, tell us about some spots over there that tourists being, they can go and enjoy over there.
So you are right. We have many islands, and we have beautiful tropical beaches. That's the favorite spots especially for the Westerners. Because during winter they are too cold in their country. They go there and wear bikinis and lie down at the beaches and so on and enjoy the sun. So we have many places like Penang, Langkawi, and Kota Kinabalu, and many places. But the other one I wish to point out is the scuba diving. This is a rather specialized kind of sport, and Malaysia has one of the best sport in the world because the diversity of the plants or animals in the sea there is so unique. So this is told by my personal friends who have gone there personally.
Have you been there?
I've been there, but I'm not good in swimming, so I cannot. So I'll miss that.
Also, I would like to ask that other than water, there's also a coastline over there, and there's a whole something like our Karakoram range. So there's something like there over there too, like a range over there. So tell us more about that.
We host the highest mountain in Southeast Asia, even though it's not as high as your K2.
Yeah.
But they still have the what they call it.
Crocker Range. Is it?
Yeah. They have that. A lot of sports activities going up there and going down there, and they have provide very interesting prizes for international. This is international event. They invite international players as well. Yeah.
So, Excellency, you have made us very excited to go there, along with many others who are watching your interview. So, last year, 60,000 tourists almost in 2016 visited, Pakistani tourists. Are you making some special arrangements to raise that number, facilitating them, or what else?
As you know, tourism is one sector that our government places a lot of emphasis. We spend a lot of money in advertisement, as I said, Malaysia Truly Asia, and we have spent a lot of money, and the impact is wonderful. We can see the impact, and today Malaysia is, I think, among the top 3 in Asia and among the top 12 countries in the world in terms of tourists alone. That in terms of tourists, there are also others like education and so on. But in terms of tourists, it has bring a lot of revenue to the country, and this is something that we would like to see in future more and more Pakistani. Because when I ask my Pakistani friends who have been there, why do you like to travel to Malaysia? So first they said the food is easy. As a Muslim, you can eat everywhere. And then of course you have the mosque where you want to pray and shopping for the ladies. You should go there.
My next question was about this: that how expensive is Malaysia for a tourist?
Especially for ladies.
Yeah, especially it is.
In terms of hotel, I tell you, comparatively, our hotels are much cheaper than in Pakistan. Where you believe it or not, you go there and see. They come back and I spent my hotel's not so expensive.
Yeah, that's right, because over here we celebrate it like a luxury. Actually, so for you, definitely it's a part of your tourist industry. So, any other place that you like? Kuala Lumpur is the only place that when we hear about Malaysia, that's the only city that comes into our mind. So, any other city that is worth?
Something that I have to tell my Pakistani friends: don't only visit Kuala Lumpur. You have in the northern part, you have let's say Kedah. Kedah, if you love historical things, that is where when your people from this part of the world settle there. They call it the Bujang Valley ecological project. It's being recognized by UNESCO. During the 2nd century, people went to Malaysia before they go to China, because they have that is the alternative route to the Silk Road, because you have the Silk Road from China to Europe, through this part of the world. But the other route is from Middle East, from India and subcontinent via the Straits of Malacca. So when they came to Malaysia and they want to go to China, they cannot go China straight away because of the monsoon. Because of the monsoon, they have to change the dates. So they have to settle in Malaysia. That's how many of those the early Buddhists, the Hindus settled there.
So Malaysia dates back to 40,000 years. So, tell us something about the art, because I'm sure it's rich in history and it has a significance in art too. So tell us something about that. We have a lot to see in your house as well. Yeah, there's a lot that you're showing over here.
Of course, we have history as far back as 40,000 years. We discovered some skeleton in the Nia Caves. Nia Caves is situated in Sarawak, which is the largest state in Malaysia, which is in the East Malaysia. The Borneo. You have Borneo Island. You have Sarawak, Sabah, Brunei, and Indonesia. That portion, if you look at the map. So there have old, this skeleton, as I said, the 40,000 years. And there also hosts a very old tropical forest. If those who love the adventures, so if you want to see the fauna and flora, that is the best place to go.
So Malaysia hosts 4 of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So could you name them?
Yeah, one is the Nia Caves I mentioned. The other one is the Bujang Valley. The third one is the Perak Man in Perak. So these are some of the
And there's a national park.
national park also, in Pahang. So 4 or 5. Yeah.
Lastly, I would like to know about the mega diversity of Malaysia in terms of animals and species over there. We know.
Okay. Yeah, scientists have discovered that 1 square kilometer of tropical forest there is much older than the Amazon forest in Brazil. So they have discovered, and according to scientists, this I quote from the scientists themselves, they say it's a heaven over there if you love all this biodiversity, that kind of thing. So for those who love this kind of adventure, please visit Malaysia.
There's just one thing that's going to stop me from coming to Malaysia, and that is 180 species of snakes over there. So that's the only thing that actually scares me.
Good in snake charming.
Really enjoyed this. We thought we visited actually Malaysia. So let's, Excellency, move towards bilateral relationship. Your role here to bring this relationship between Pakistan and Malaysia. It was 60th anniversary relationship between Pakistan and Malaysia. In which sectors actually you are working between Pakistan and Malaysia?
Actually, my main focus is on these few areas. One is, of course, on education. The others is on trade and investment. And then the last is on tourism. These are my three. But other than that, it's not that I do not focus, but I feel that these are the three areas that, if we can do more, a lot more can be done. Yeah. So that has been my main focus, and I could see that, like education, every year the number of students have been increasing. Studying in Malaysia.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to ask. What are there like any scholarships that you're offering to Pakistani students?
Yes, there's universities and some of the private universities, public, do offer scholarships also. And normally we send this offer to your higher education, what do you call it, HEC, yeah? So they ask us which universities provide scholarship and so on. We do provide, and we are happy to have a big number of Pakistani students. And
5,000.
yeah, 5,000. But the potential is still there, because the way I attended some of these, what they call it, the seminars, or when these universities come over here.
I was so excited when I read your statement that Malaysia is eager to be part of CPEC. Part of CPEC, if you see the location, it's entirely two different parts of the planet. So how do you want to be part of CPEC?
Well, it actually, because CPEC is something that your government, your leaders have been talking about a lot.
Yeah, that's game changer for
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Game changer. And I think it's true that you can change Pakistan and also the region. Yeah. And for us, we see that we would like to participate because it also helps us in helping to get engaged with other countries, not only Pakistan, but also Central Asia countries.
It gives access to all these countries.
Access, yeah. So it's a win-win situation. But of course, this still is a new thing, and many in Malaysia are still observing how it goes. But my recommend to them is always that you should be proactive, try to come and see what's going on. There have been some already coming in, but I think over a few years when the CPEC takes shape, then people will.
So you also said foreign investors are eager too. So you see big potential of CPEC in Pakistan?
Yeah, I see a lot of potential. Once that the port quadra fully developed and all your infrastructure in place, all your trade zone and your special zone, economic zone established, I'm sure it will attract many foreign investors here by that.
So I was reading that Malaysia has a newly industrialized market economy, which is ranked 3rd in Southeast Asia and 29th largest in the world. So what would you say about that? Because you're going towards not going towards, you're actually in the industrialized world. So we are lacking behind Pakistan. So what would you say about that?
Yes, we have a program to become a fully developed countries by 2020. So that has been our target, and we have to achieve for only how many more years. But so far it's on the right track, okay? And from the current policies of our government, they are doing so many things. What we call it, if you follow our economic policies, they call it transformational economic policies, which is to transform Malaysia from a middle income to a high level income. Because at the moment we see that we are stuck at the middle. We want to move forward, more. And that's where the challenge now to adopt what they call it a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy means you got to find a new niche. Don't go to an area where everybody has already developed. Find a new niche So this is where we are trying to move forward. Yeah.
Okay. So, Excellency, I see that you are very interested in cats. So, this is a very beautiful cat. Please tell me where, like, was it do you like cats since the beginning, or is it like something new?
Okay, I actually love cats even when I was a small kid, you know. But then, after the Nauta incident, the doctor advised me one way for you to recover from this trauma is to have pets. So he said, if you have a cat, that would be nice. It will help in your restoring back your normalcy back, you know.
Pets do help recover. That's real, and they can take you out of depression.
Yes,
That is
yes.
very true. He is actually very beautiful.
So who loves him more, you or your spouse?
I think, but she's closer to my wife. Because somehow, because she feeds the two every day. I only once a while. So.
Excellency, before interview, you were talking about some new wedding packages.
So, in tourism, in promoting tourism in Malaysia now, one of the things that we promote is to have wedding packages in Malaysia, especially in countries where they have beautiful, in states where they have beautiful seaside like Sabah, Penang, Kedah, you know. And we have discovered that in the last couple of years, there are many couples from abroad who do make a wedding in Malaysia. And it's very, very lovely, and they invite their friends from all over.
Oh, so even wedding there, not only post-wedding visit, but wedding.
Another one is coming soon.
Wedding as well as post-wedding or honeymoon. Honeymoon is also another favorite. You know, after the 9/11 incident, most of the Muslim countries, their couples, sometimes they have hesitation to go to certain countries.
Because of law and order situation.
They decided to pick Malaysia as a place for their honeymoon. And amazingly, when at one time I went to Malaysia, there were many young couples who spent their honeymoon in Malaysia. So that has also been a new trend in Malaysia, which did not happen about 10 years ago. So this is something new.
So those couple who are interested to do this now, do they need to contact High Commission?
And now they can go through their travel agent and they will help you.
So I would also want to know about the visa policy, because since one has to arrange a wedding over there, then you need to know the visa policy.
We normally for Pakistani they have to apply to the Dropbox agent, and normally it takes not more than 10 days if everything is in order. 10 working days. But if there is a need for special, you want to have to be there early, then we can consider the fast track. But normally 10 days is reasonable, I think.
Yeah. So what is volume of trade? And I guess you are expecting volume of trade to raise to $2 billion between Pakistan and...
The current volume of trade is about 1.3 billion US, roughly.
1.3 roughly billion dollars.
Yeah, billion. Of course, last year there has been a slight increase, but it has not been to the level it used to be before. It used to be 2 point something, 2.5, 2.6 at the height of our trade, so that has been something that I always try to point out to both the businessmen in Malaysia and Pakistan.
So, Excellency, usually, honestly speaking, visitor or tourists, they don't prefer visiting Muslim countries because they have concerns and because of law and order situation, and sometimes they fear conservative approach to not allowing them freely. So, how is law and order situation in Malaysia for tourists?
You will find you can go anywhere, any places, anytime, freely without any difficulties. But of course, you have to be careful because doesn't mean that you can, So, but other than that, they are free to travel any part of Malaysia easily. And the people there are very welcoming, because sometimes we know tourists, sometimes they might dress differently from their own culture and so on, but we are quite open to that, as long as you know the limits where, it should be okay, then everything is fine. Yeah.
So do you have any business council, as some high commissions or embassies, they have business council to bring business community in to connect with the other country? For example, you recently, a team of traders visited Pakistan and met business community. So do you have any business council? Are you planning any business council to bridge the business community of the both countries?
Yeah, we do have, they call it Malaysia-Pakistan Business Council based in Karachi. But we do also have one before in Islamabad, the northern chapter. But unfortunately, that has not been a bit active. So that has somewhat, we are looking for a new team to come in. Yes, you are right. There were some businessmen coming here, and we brought them to various places in Pakistan, in Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Gujranwala, all these things. Yeah.
So, Excellency, I'm going to touch a little sensitive topic. There was this unfortunate incident in Naltar, the accident, and you unfortunately lost your wife in that.
He got injured.
Yeah, and you were injured. You were a part of that too. So, tell us about that unfortunate experience, because we got to know about it, and it's really unfortunate. One cannot even bear to go through it. So,
it was an incident occurred about 2 years ago. When a group of ambassadors and their spouses, plus friends from Malaysia, they wanted to go to Nalta, and at that time, the Prime Minister supposed to officiate one a ski project over there. So we are supposed to join the Prime Minister. So we took the flight from Rawalpindi first by the C-130, if I'm not mistaken, the army kind of plane. We reached safely at Gilgit, and then after that, from there we took the helicopter. So there were at that time about 4 helicopters. So we are divided into 4 groups, and I was in the second helicopter. So the incident happened just about when we were about to land. Already we could see the land and so on. Then suddenly it turned around out of control, and it crashed into a school. So many of my colleagues, including my former wife, passed away. But I, alhamdulillah, somewhat maybe God wants to give me a second chance. So I managed to escape through the front portion of the helicopter, the mirror where the pilot, of course, was dead. I could see at that time he was dead. The co-pilot was dead too. But there was a small hole in the mirror. So I broke it with my left hand. Still, you can see the effect there, because very deep.
So you were in senses, right?
Yeah, yeah. After I tried to save my wife, she couldn't make it. Then only I escaped, because at that time I give priority to her to save. There was a window, and she already half her body already escaped. But because it was too hot, so she fell down again, and everybody, start pushing and so on. The fire caught, because it's a small, it's not that big. One, you have the fire, and then the smoke. I can't see her anymore that time, So that's how it happened. So some of us managed to escape, but some of my friends, like from Philippines, Indonesia, from Poland, and
so how many survived from that heli?
About half. We have about 18, if I'm not mistaken, 18. So died about 7 or 8. Yeah, 8. And then the others 9 or so to survive.
You and other ambassadors sacrificed a lot, definitely. But it was an accident. It could happen anywhere. And even later it was proved that it was an accident. So what message would you like to give people? Because Skardu, Gilgit-Baltistan, these areas are the world's one of the most beautiful places. What message would you like to give a tourist who still want to visit these places? Well, that was an accident.
Yes, of course this is an accident where nobody can really stop, or it happened that way. Yeah? But still, that place is such a beautiful place that I think everyone would love to visit, because that is one area of Pakistan that many people love to visit again and again. So don't take that incident as a hindrance for you to visit. But
And it was definitely an unfortunate event, and we're really sorry for your loss, but that's how life is.